So we finally got that Switch 2 Direct, and there's a lot to talk about. They started off with Mario Kart, which I kind of don't get why they're positioning like their big headline game. Because, don't get me wrong, like, everybody likes Mario Kart, but it's Mario Kart. You've played a Mario Kart game, you've played Mario Kart. I'm not sure about their big driving to the next course. That sounds like it could get really tedious fast. The roster looks good. They didn't cut Waluigi, and they added Cow. I'm not seeing it as worth $90. And there's the big thing. Nintendo was out of their minds with these prices. I guess let's start with what I agree is probably the reason for these prices, and then we can address the alleged elephant in the room. This is from Andy Robinson at Video Games Chronicle and Platonic Games. Likely in an effort to combat foreign resellers looking to take advantage of the weak yen, Nintendo announced on Wednesday that a Switch 2 Japanese, domestic-only version will be the only Switch 2 console available to purchase from general retailers. The domestic-only console retail for a cheaper price, 49,980 yen, or $334, and will have Japanese as the console's language setting, and the only Nintendo account that can be linked will be one created from Japan. A more expensive Switch 2 model with multilingual support priced at 69,980 yen, or $467, will be available to purchase only from the Japanese My Nintendo store. Dr. Serkin Toto, CEO of Tokyo-based game industry consultancy Canton Games, told VGC that most Japanese consumers would likely not be bothered by the region-locked Switch. This is an extremely important market for Nintendo, today more so than ever in its history. The current Switch is only 33,000 yen in Japan, the equivalent of $220. This means Nintendo will again subsidize Japanese users with the domestic version of the Switch 2 in order to make sure they continue to dominate the market over here. The vast majority of Japanese users do not care about multilingual hardware, so the price for the international version is inconsequential. So basically, Nintendo is taxing the rest of the world so that they can sell the Switch in Japan at a loss. And I think this checks out because I hadn't realized how bad the yen is doing. Like, there's always been the colloquial 1 yen equates to 1 cent. But, you might notice these prices, that's not the case. It's closer to half a cent. So, that elephant in the room. I've seen a lot of people saying that this is all because of tariffs, and trying to say this is all Dolan Trumpum's fault. Has YouTube blacklisted his name? Can we say his name? I mean, it's fine. It's fine if you don't like Dolan, but I don't think that's the case. I can't find anything supporting that. All I'm finding is that we imposed a 25% tariff on Japanese autos, which, last I checked, video game hardware is not an auto. You know, Mario Kart may have cars, but it still doesn't count as a car. And then the reciprocal tariffs, which, if we look at Japan's tariffs, you can see here that they don't seem to have any tariffs on video games for America. Or for most countries, honestly. And while it is entirely possible they may be shipping directly from China, that raises a lot of questions about the people running Nintendo. Because I'm pretty sure it would be a lot cheaper to ship back to Japan and then ship to America without the tariff. Not to mention that companies have ways of transferring product between branches. I guess while we're sidetracked here, we might as well talk about the other thing that's got people upset. Shortly after the Direct, Nintendo dropped another little piece of information about something called game key cards. Their article says, game key cards are different from regular game cards because they don't contain the full game data. Instead, the game key card is your key to downloading the full game, to your system via the internet. After it's downloaded, you can play the game by inserting the game keycard into your system and starting it up like a standard physical game card. And that's basically it. It's what other consoles are doing, where you put in a disc and it downloads the game, and you can't just play from the disc. I think people are misinterpreting that this is all Switch 2 games, but they are describing this as if it's a special type of Switch 2 game, which I'm not glazing Nintendo, but I do have to give them credit that I think this is better than what other consoles are doing, because they're distinguishing these download-only games from the normal, traditional games that you just put in and you play. So with the negativity out of the way, the game chat, it looked really good. The whole tutorial, the whole weird little tutorial game being paid. Now here's something where there's a little bit more to talk about. Them releasing Switch games as Switch 2 games. Here's my prediction. Smash Brothers will be one of those. We're not getting another Smash Brothers, we are getting a re-release with more characters and more stages and another mode. Coin Battle! Coin Battle! That's what Ultimate was missing. I don't know. A lot of the stuff they were adding looked kinda not that great. Like, I mean, I guess it's cool and all to be in your Mario Party game, but do we really need that for Zelda? After all these years? Really? Also kind of surprised and not gonna lie worried that they didn't show the old Pokemon games that run like the paraplegic robots in that basketball game that they also announced. What was that? Is anyone hyped for that? Then all the third-party games, a lot of it is just games that they've already released, and it's just, And then there were the games that, I don't know why they're there. Like that Star Wars game that I heard nothing good about. That apparently the AI was so bad that it's actually harder to take damage because enemies will never notice you. Or the Cyberpunk that is actually in competition to be the worst game of all time. Everything I saw of that game, it really did look worse than that semi-truck game that's infamous. I don't know why this wasn't the last announcement, it was the second to last, but it was definitely the big announcement. Kirby's Air Ride 2, or Kirby Air Riders. Not worth $90. Still not worth the $90 that they're asking, but, you know. Then the Donkey Kong game, I'm not really feeling it. It looks okay, but I just want Donkey Kong 64 too. Maybe they'll show more and it'll sell me, but just not feeling it. So I guess here's my prediction for how the Switch 2 is going to sell. I'm predicting that it's going to have a trajectory a lot like the 3DS, because these prices are way too high. I don't see any way that it's going to sell at these prices. For a while I've been predicting that the Switch 2 is probably going to sell at a 3DS trajectory. I sold all of my Nintendo stock back in February when it hit $19, and that's probably when they do the price cut is going to be a prime time to buy back in, because people will be freaking out and trying to get out, even though that's the time that you actually want to buy. Actually, after the Direct, the stock dropped like 40 cents, so yeah, really, I think it's going to be a 3DS trajectory. I think they're going to have to do a price cut. So I guess for gamers, probably want to wait for that price cut, because there's a good chance it's coming. Don't be the sucker that buys it for $500. But overall, I'm hopeful for this system. I think this system ultimately will be a runaway success just after the price cut.